When I was 11 years old, I played Mass Effect for the first time. I just randomly picked it up the shelf, so I started with 2 for some reason, and obviously I loved it. I just don't think I had ever played a game that felt so alive before, and honestly since then there hasn't been much to rival it. I got incredibly lucky, and only a few months after finishing the second game, Mass Effect 3 came out. I was so excited I even tried to start a let's play on it.
Hey everybody, and I will see you next time.
And again, I loved it. Obviously, it's a very divisive game, but I was 11 years old, so I was much more interested in hanging out with Garrus and Liara than arguing about how many endings of the game there are. I was aware of Dragon Age, especially because of the Blood Dragon armor in Mass Effect 2 and 3, but at the time I much preferred sci-fi over fantasy, so it never fully interested me. However, only a few months later, I finished the Mass Effect series by picking a colour, and they announced the third Dragon Age game, so I had to give the series a shot, and I didn't want to make the same mistake with Mass Effect. So I bought Origins in May 2013, and I didn't get very far. But at E3 in June, I got a second chance because Inquisition was delayed by a year. So in April 2014, I started a new save in Dragon Age Origins, and from the 6th to the 27th of April, I was just living in Ferelden. I did as many side quests as possible, thought hard about every major decision, I completed every DLC, I romanced Liliana, and I also somehow romanced Morrigan and Zevran within 10 minutes of each other. Dragon Age had hooked me. It's a lot denser than Mass Effect is, and the combat is a lot more complicated, but I did manage to roll credits and I was now officially a fan of the series. Bear in mind in 2014 I only had a handful of platinums, so I didn't 100% every game I played. So I left off Dragon Age Origins with 30 out of 51 main trophies and 15 out of 26 DLC trophies. The day after I finished Origins I started 2. Now, Dragon Age 2 is considered the worst of the 3 games, and on my first playthrough, I didn't finish it. According to my save, I played for 30 hours, but somehow only made it to the start of Act 2, and honestly, I hardly remember playing this game at all. But surely the fact I didn't finish it, and also don't remember it, is a telling sign of what I thought about Dragon Age 2. When I stopped playing, I had got 22 out of 51 of the main trophies and 4 of the 15 DLC trophies. And even though I never actually finished 2, I played Inquisition anyway. If you haven't actually played the games, they are quite standalone, so I do think it's valid to just play any game you want, but obviously you'll have a much better time if you play all of them, since the politics and lore is quite dense, and there's obviously a lot of fan service you'll miss out on. I got Inquisition a little bit after launch and played it all December. I liked this one the best just because it felt so grand and like a proper epic adventure. I played as a Canary two-handed warrior and was just bashing people's heads in. The combat clicked with me, and it was one of the first times I ever got deep into a crafting system. I romanced Dorian and completed every side quest I could, and this was the year I got properly into platinums, so while playing the game I was trying to do as much as possible, more so than I usually would before that. But I never got the platinum, so I stopped playing at 42 out of 51 trophies, randomly came back 2 years later to kill some enemies, and I've never played any of the DLC. And this means for the entire series, we only have 114 out of a total 213 trophies. So with the release of the Veilguard, I feel like I've been sent back 10 years, because for the past few months I've been replaying all 3 of these games. Mainly, I just want to replay them again and get caught up to speed for the new one, but also want to play Origins again and see how it holds up in 2024. I want to actually finish Dragon Age 2 and see if it's actually as bad as people say, and I want to play through Inquisition so I can then play Trespasser and actually understand what the Veilguard is all about. And of course, along the way, I'll be getting every single trophy. I think in the next few weeks I'm going to give these games their own standalone videos, including the Veilguard, but for now, we're going to go through the series so far in one big video, starting with Origins. Heading into this playthrough, we had already got a lot of trophies. This playthrough was quite casual, and for the most part, I didn't have to follow a guide or anything. The first thing I did was complete the remaining Origin stories. Depending on which race and class you choose at the start of the game, there are 6 different exclusive quests you can play before you get to the actual game. I had already done the Dwarf Noble and the human ones, so we played as a mage, a city elf, a dwarf commoner, and finally the Dalish elf. I already knew I was going to play as a Dalish elf, so I got through these quite quickly and actually started the game proper. I chose to play as a rogue with a bow and arrow, which I'll soon come to find out just sucks in this game. So like I said, this is a very casual playthrough where I just have to make specific decisions, get every ending of the game, which is easily done by reloading your save, and finally romance Alistair. We completed our Origin, met Alistair.
You know, one good thing about the Blight is how it brings people together. You're not the first to tell me that.
Became a Grey Warden, finished the prologue, and met Morrigan.
Ah, your eyes finally open. Mother shall be pleased.
This game is quite open, and we already can do 4 of the main quests. Technically we can do them in any order, but some of them have tough enemies like Orzammar. But no matter what, we have to head to Lothering first, to recruit Liliana and Sten.
I am Sten of the Beresod, the vanguard of the Kunari peoples.
And then we head to Redcliffe. Connor has been possessed and there's a few different ways to finish this quest, but before we can even make our decision, only a few hours after meeting him, we had already convinced Alistair to fall in love with us, but we won't get the trophy until later on.
Oh, go on. You are both making me ill.
Two birds with one stone. I could get to like this.
We deal with Connor in a way that makes sense for everyone.
Make her help me. There must be some other way. Don't kill my baby. I'm begging you.
Oops. While I was playing, it came out that basically none of our decisions will matter for the Veilguard, so I didn't feel bad about this basically being a bastardized playthrough. We still need to revive the Arl of Redcliffe, so we're sent to find the mythical Urn of Sacred Ashes, and this takes us to the city of Denetham. Here we meet Isabella and cheat on Alistair.
Yes, that was amazing. The world moved for everyone.
We followed this questline to the Magic Circle Tower. However, before we get there, we help some of the refugees, but this happens to be a trap set up by the assassin Zevdan.
The Grey Warden dies here!
When I first played this, he was one of my favourite companions, but this time I didn't speak to him much, and for basically the whole game, we stuck with Alistair, Morrigan and Sten. Because his assassination attempt failed, he explains that he can't go home, so we take him along on the rest of the journey. Only a few hours in, we only have 3 companions left to get, and one of them is unmissable.
And I want 2 men stationed within sight of the doors at all times. Do not open the doors without my express consent. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
The doors are barred. Are they keeping people out or in?
Now we wait and pray.
We make it to the Mages Tower where we can finally get our first trophy. In the interest of time, to put it simply, the Mages have been corrupted, and the Templars have locked them in the tower. We can either solve the corruption and help them, or solve the corruption by helping the Templars kill them all. Obviously, I sided with the Mages the first time around, so now we have to side with the Templars. There's 5 major decisions in the game, and they all have 2 trophies tied to them, depending on which way you go. And because of that, this playthrough was quite interesting, because I had to choose the exact opposite of what I chose last time. However, my morals, politics and understanding have probably changed in the past 10 years, so there is a chance I'll actually agree with my new decision. We enter the tower and promise to kill the Mages. But as soon as we enter, we meet a mage called Wynne. 10 years ago, I distinctly remember her asking to join the party, and I said no by accident. So I believe she's our final companion. I waited here for a bit because I believe the trophy should have popped since it's meant to count over every playthrough, and PlayStation 3 trophies take a notoriously long time to pop, but it didn't pop. So either it's bugged, or we just need to get the other companion. We spent an hour and a half completing the infamous Fade section, and after meeting Cullen, we made our final decision to help the Templars.
What greater good? What good is done by killing the innocent? I cannot allow this. I will defend this circle to the death.
Well, 1 second here. I sense that things are going quickly downhill.
Thankfully, you don't need all the companions at once. We defeated the boss and officially had the Templars on our side.
The Templars, out of duty and gratitude, will stand with the Grey Warden.
Soon after, we got another trophy for completing 15 job board quests. These are usually quite quick and menial quests you can find on these boards in town. Like this one was just for killing this group of Darkspawn out in the world. 15 quests is not a lot at all, so after handing this batch in, we got our trophy. We completed the next main quest by heading to Haven to find the Urn of Sacred Ashes.
Congratulations, you found a waste bin.
Once we find the urn, we can either choose to take what we need and leave, or defile it.
The ashes! I knew I'd regret letting you go through with this.
But Alistair is clearly not that fussed. Before we leave here, we can get a miscellaneous trophy for fighting a dragon. I've been playing on easy because I'm mainly here for the story and the bow and arrow just sucks and doesn't do any damage. However, this was anything but easy. A side effect of playing on easy is that I was hardly thinking about my skills or my build, I was just kind of playing the game. And this meant we were vastly underprepared for an actual fight, and also I do think I was just under-leveled for the fight anyway. So our 2 warriors died very quickly, and I didn't stand much of a chance either. But as Morrigan, I actually managed to do okay, and I basically accidentally found a cheese where the dragon would just move position, hardly attack me, and then move position again. And I could just stand there and do the smallest amount of damage to it. We managed to almost kill it before that killed us, but now I knew that tactic was possible. So I held fast with Morrigan by my side and spent about 5 minutes just slowly killing it. I definitely did this way too early. Now it was time to visit the elves.
You will end this curse! End it, or you will all die! Never.
Who we killed with the help of the werewolves. Then we went to see the dwarves. They've got an election going on, so we get to pick who becomes king. But before we can do that, we spend some time in the Colosseum.
Yes? It's just the two of us. The Ben...
And with the Knut, our second last party member. I stopped playing for the night, and when I opened the game back up, I decided just for fun to load my save from 10 years ago, just because I wanted to see what my other character was like. And once the game loaded, I randomly got a trophy for getting a different ending than the one that I actually got on this save. I have no clue why this happened, but it doesn't actually affect anything for the video, since we do have to get every ending anyway. Back to the main save, we finished the dwarf quest and had to decide what to do with the Anvil of the Void. This is used to make golems, however the golems are made with the souls of dwarves, so we can either keep the anvil and hope it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, or smash it. For the trophy, we have to keep it, and this also gives us a crown, which we can then use to choose our new dwarven king. There's a progressive option, and a traditional option. For the trophy we need to choose the traditional option.
Would you let a surfacer decide the fate of the dwarves?
And then we kill our political opponents. I'll talk about it more in the full video, but this game runs so badly. I had so many bugs, full console crashes, and the load times were awful and just got worse and worse. So at some point I started to just mainline the game, purely because entering a house to explore and get a quest just felt so painful, and honestly I wish I was just playing on PC. So because I was mainlining it, this meant only 15 hours in, we had almost finished the entire game, which meant we could now complete our romance with Alistair, which gives us a trophy for that, and another one for romancing everyone across every playthrough.
You know, according to all the sisters at the monastery, I should have been struck by lightning by now.
Oh, trying to be tricky, are we?
As you wish. No mercy! Time for some fun!
And now it's time to call the landsmeet and enter the final stage of the game. Basically, we have to fight our case for why Loghain shouldn't be king of Ferelden, and depending on what side quest we've done and what we say, we can either win or lose.
I'm with the Warden. Southreach stands with the Grey Wardens.
Waking Sea stands with the Grey Warden.
Dragon's Peak supports the Warden!
Western Hills is with you, Loghain. Make her help us. I stand by Loghain. We've no hope of victory otherwise.
I stand with the Warden. The Blight is coming. We need the Grey Wardens.
We won the landsmeet, but honestly it doesn't matter much, because either way he doesn't accept the loss and we need to fight him. He surrenders, and as punishment for his crimes we can get him to join our party, which Alistair doesn't like.
You're going to let him live? After everything he's done? Kill him already!
So he leaves the party.
This wasn't my idea. Take care of yourself.
This essentially splits the timeline, because to get every ending, we're going to have to take both Alistair and Loghain to the final boss. So we made a save before the landsmeet to come back to later, but we have now recruited every companion. We already have the ending where you accept Morrigan's offer, so we turn her down and she also leaves the party. Which means we basically need to put together a whole new team. And with that team, I spent about half an hour farming kills here to get a notoriously buggy trophy for killing 1,000 Darkspawn in total. We fight our way to the final boss and make a save. There's a trophy called Traveller, where we need to set foot in every area of the game. Thankfully this isn't as annoying as it sounds, because we just need to set foot in 23 different areas, and this final boss area should hopefully be the last one. That took way too long to pop, and honestly, I thought I had to play the whole game again. After defeating the Archdemon, which was surprisingly hard on easy, so hard that we basically had to cheat it, we get to decide who kills it. So there's 4 endings in the game, one for accepting Morrigan's offer, which we already have, and the other 3 are for killing it yourself, Alistair killing it, and Loghain killing it. So we defeat it, die, roll credits, reload or save, and let Loghain kill it.
Good.
And now the last trophies we need in the base game is to let Alistair kill it and get every ending. And we also had to get to level 20 as a rogue and as a mage. I'd heard the level up trophy can bug if you import a character into the DLCs, so I just did some post-game side quests to become a level 20 rogue. Now we've got a lot of DLC to do, and we're basically just going to do them in order, starting with Awakening. So Awakening is a separate story with all new companions and a lot of new skills. Most importantly, it's got a few new archery skills that actually make it do damage. Sadly, these can only be used from this DLC onwards, and they're not available for the base game. In the DLC, we meet Anders.
You may call me Anders, my dear lady. I am a mage, and sadly a wanted apostate.
And throughout the whole DLC, we find out more about him. Something I quite like about Dragon Age's DLC is quite a lot of them introduce a vital character or piece of lore, but you don't actually understand the importance until later on. In Awakening, we only have to get 2 trophies. One is for completing a set of side quests, and just like in the main game, there's a major decision we have to make, and there's a trophy for both options, so I just have to do the opposite of what I did last time. Now we have the Darkspawn Chronicles, which is basically a non-canon story where we play as the Darkspawn at the end of the game in a universe where the hero for Elden didn't exist. So we play as this Hurlock, and we can recruit other Darkspawn to join our party. There's a trophy for getting maximum approval with all 6 types of Darkspawn, and approval goes up while they're in your party and you kill someone. And the other trophy is for keeping this ogre, which we get early on, all the way to the end of the DLC. Obviously this DLC isn't great, but I did have fun with it, and I quite like the alternate universe aspect, especially with Alistair leading the charge. But sadly, to get our trophies, he does have to die. Now we played Liliana's song. This is a prequel where you find out all about Liliana's backstory, and it's fine. I had already played this before, so all we had to do was put some items on our body to blackmail him, and find collectibles in the form of a set of armour. Now we have Golems of Amgadak, which I don't love. Again, there's a set of collectibles we have to find, and now we have to beat the final boss on hard. So, playing the whole game on easy, I was nervous because I thought this would actually be a huge step up, but you can just stand in this corner and no one can touch you.
Stay still!
Not now!
And last but not least, we need to go on a witch hunt. This is the exact same as the last DLC, we just need to find some collectibles and do the final boss on hard. There's no cheap tactics for this one, so can I do it? Yeah, honestly, and I didn't even do anything special. Maybe this last boss is just easy. Or maybe actually the whole game is easy. Morrigan went through the Illuvian, and we had now taken our character from the start of Dragon Age Origins to the very end. We now had every DLC trophy, so now we just have to get that final ending. But first, we have to do another full playthrough as a mage to get to level 20. Or we can just start up a DLC as a new character, pick up this item that gives us an ability point, and use it to level up. That honestly saved us so much time. And finally now, all we have to do is load our save from before the lands meet, keep Alistair on our side, and then let that bastard die. And now we had all 4 endings of the game.
And then it was over.
Start at the beginning.
Now we move on to the divisive Dragon Age Exodus. Dragon Age 2. Like I mentioned earlier, I have played some of this game, but I've never finished it, and we still need to get about half of the trophies. Off the bat, this game still looks quite good because they've went for a specific art style, and playing as a two-handed warrior, I quite like the combat. I love how the default Hawk looks, and his voice.
Perhaps we'll be lucky and they'll run out of Darkspawn.
And I like a lot of the companions. It's going to be controversial, but I think this one is my favourite. Something super cool about these games is the ability to carry your world state forward. Because the games are quite disconnected, they don't actually matter that much, but it's quite cool to hear a conversation around the town and know that you affected it. In Dragon Age 2, we play as the Hawk family. They lived in Lothering, but after the Blight came, they have to flee. We've got Mummy Hawk, Sister Hawk, Hugh Hawk, and Brother Hawk. In our escape, we quickly meet our first companions, Aveline and Wesley. Okay, Wesley isn't coming with us, and Brother Hawk doesn't make it either. This game is all about the mages versus the Templars, and because the game wants you to have some stakes, if you play as a mage, your mage sister Bethany dies, and you keep Carver who becomes a Templar, but if you play as a rogue or a warrior, Carver dies instead, so you always have a mage in the family. Carver must have been a wank because Hawk and Bethany just do not care at all that he's died.
Maybe we should grieve when we're safe?
Mother, we can't stay here. Carver wouldn't want his sacrifice to be meaningless.
With the help of Flemeth, we make our way into the city of Kirkwall, which will be where 99% of the rest of the game takes place. However, because of the huge influx of refugees, they won't let us in. Our uncle who lives there can't help us either, but he does know two groups of people who can, the smugglers and the mercenaries. There's a trophy for doing both, and we had already smuggled ourselves in 10 years ago, so we did this quick quest for the mercs and actually enter Kirkwall.
Yes, they've agreed to help us.
And even though the game has just started, we get a 1-year time skip.
Let's just see what happens. We have a long year ahead of us.
The Hawk family are down on their luck, living in the Kirkwall slums, but after meeting Varric, we get our main quest.
Hey!
I knew a guy once who could take every coin out of your pockets just by smiling at you. But you don't have the style to work Hightown, let alone the Merchants Guild. Might want to find yourself a new line of work. Off you go.
How do you do?
Varric Tethras, at your service.
We need to gather 50 sovereigns and pay our way into joining the Deep Roads expedition, where we'll hopefully find something to make us rich. This game is much more linear than Origins, and a lot of the time the main quests don't actually feel like main quests. So in this video I won't be going into detail on all of them, but if you are interested, just wait for the full video in a few weeks. This game is split into 3 acts, and Act 1 is all about meeting our companions. We've already got Bethany and Varric, and now we meet Sebastian.
Sebastian, stop this madness. The Chantry cannot condone revenge, Sebastian.
It is my right, my duty, to show these assassins there is nowhere in the free marches to hide.
He's actually a DLC companion, so by finishing his questline, we'll get 5 of the 15 DLC trophies. This game also has missable collectibles, so over the course of all 3 acts, we need to make sure we pick up 4 of these history books. There's 1 in Act 1, 2 in Act 2, and the final one is in Act 3. This is the game's map. We can explore different parts of Kirkwall, which slightly change whether it's day or night, and as we play, we'll slowly unlock a handful of locations outside of Kirkwall's gates. Now we have another set of collectibles. We need to find 12 Enigma of Kirkwall messages, and there's 4 in each act. And while we're here, we get Aveline to join the party again. And while doing our first quest, we get introduced to another set of collectibles, and this is the worst one, because we need to find 66 crafting materials across the whole game, and they're highly missable. They're not actually that well hidden, but for example, once we leave this area, we can never come back. So as you can imagine, doing this without a guide is just a recipe for pain. And on top of that, there are so many reports that even if you get all of them, the trophy is glitched and it won't pop. Some people have said going to the Black Emporium makes this trophy easier, but others have said if you go there even once, it won't pop at all. So I never went there, and I just took it slowly and carefully. Thankfully, following a guide isn't that annoying or immersion breaking, because it doesn't actually tell you what to do. It just gives you a reminder to pick up the item while you're there and doing the quest. We continued our way through Act 1, finding every collectible we could, and we very quickly became friends with Bethany by being sympathetic to the mages.
Bless the rule of our queen.
We met Anders from Awakening, who's got the dog in him. Met Fenris, who also has a dog in him. We met Meryl, who's getting the dog out of her. For my Doctor Who fans out there, she's voiced by Gwen from Torchwood, and maybe there'll be another Torchwood connection later on.
Demons are just spirits, like honor or joy. Be careful up ahead. Is this really where the elves live? I didn't think it would be so... I've never seen so many people in one place before. It seems so lonely.
Working your way up will be fun.
And our final companion pickup is Isabella. I love the companions in this game. They all feel so diverse and funny and charming. I love the fact that they all feel like they have other things going on other than just joining you on your journey. My only negative, and it's not actually a negative, is I didn't get to fully know some of them, especially Fenris, who people seem to love. But that does give me an excuse to replay the game again sometime down the line, because I really do just like existing in this world.
Tell me, Lucky, is this worth dying for?
When you talk about hoisting the mainsail, what do you really mean?
What else could it mean? It requires strength, knowledge of rigging, and a small measure of sobriety.
I know my way around rigging just fine, and I'm good with my hands.
Oh my.
After 8 hours, we'd finished every side quest and got every collectible we could in Act 1, so it was time to venture into the deep roads.
Deep roads there will be nice and virginal, ready for a good deflowering. Ha!
Now there's an interesting image.
We decided to leave Bethany behind.
Oh, thank the Maker.
Inside the deep roads, we find some incredibly rare red lydium.
Not bad. We'll take a look around, see if there's anything further in.
Which we'll hopefully be able to sell and finally improve our status in Kirkwall. But then Varric's brother locks us in. We continue on in the opposite way and eventually find the Dwarven Vault.
That can't be good.
We kill the Act 1 boss by stabbing it with a hammer. And we can loot the riches. We finally make it back home, but Cullen, who we saved in the first game, is taking Bethany away. I was actually kind of bummed about this because I was using her in the main party, and now she's gone for most of the game. But I wasn't sad for too long because we got a trophy for none of our characters dying during the whole act.
Connection you're looking for.
Now in Act 2, we've got a 3-year time skip, so a big part of this early section is catching up with all our friends and finding out what's been going on. And a new act means we have a whole new set of collectibles to grab. We've got new books, messages and materials to collect, but also in Act 2 we need to find these evil tomes. There are 4 of these, and if we smash them all we unlock a secret boss. I was trying to romance Meryl, so I felt quite bad doing this since she gets -10 approval for every tome you smash. But because I didn't want to miss any of these collectibles, I focused on them as soon as possible, and in the process we got to level 14 and we could unlock our second specialisation. Finally, after finding all the books, we found a big book, and we got 5 approval points back from Meryl, and this also spawned the Zeben kick. Use it. The trophies continued to pop as we continued Sebastian's questline, gave him back his family's bow, and went to 10 locations outside Kirkwall. Because of certain decisions we made, we got the respect of the big bad of Act 2, the Canary Arishok. We defeated a Vartero, which you might remember is the boss we had to defeat on Hard and Witch Hunt. We became friends with 4 party members, and the 4th party member we became friends with was Sebastian.
Don't turn on her now.
A bit of a non sequitur, but I've seen so many people say the Veilguard is bad because it has pop culture references in it.
I like big boats, I cannot lie.
We spent the rest of Act 2 just doing every side quest we could, and improving relations with the Dalish. And while we were off doing all that, our mum got murdered. Oops. It ends up going badly with the Canary. Isabella ends up leaving Kirkwall with the book they want, and the Canary declare war on the city. 15 hours in, this game is running perfectly. I generally haven't encountered any bugs, and other than a few hiccups, the frame rate has been smooth. However, a handful of times it did crash just like the first game, and make me restart my whole console. During the siege we meet the Grey Wardens, and we also meet Meredith, who's basically Templar head honcho.
I am Knight Commander Meredith.
Just after meeting her, we meet Orsino, who's basically the mage head honcho.
Many thanks, my friend.
After meeting all of these people, we get an unmissable story trophy, and we come face to face with the Arishok. And because Isabella loves us so much, she brings us back the book.
I believe I can answer that.
However, because she stole it in the first place, they still want to punish her and take her with them.
What?
So instead of that happening, we get a big Act 2 boss fight. Because he respects us, he lets us fight him one by one. But honestly, even on easy, I found this fight quite hard for some reason, so I ended up just getting everyone involved.
We shall return.
It's over.
The city has been saved!
Now in Act 3 we've got another 3-year time skip, and in that time the Mage Templar conflict has reached a boiling point, and because we've become such a name in Kirkwall, our opinion now holds weight. I side with the mages, and this is now the 5th time I've sided with them.
That is for me to decide.
Throughout the course of the game there are 7 different quests where you can side with either the mages or the Templars, and there are 2 trophies you can get for siding with the mages and Templars 5 times. Obviously 5 only goes into 7 once, so we'll be doing another playthrough up to the start of Act 3 once I've finished this playthrough. There are a few ways you can kind of save scum it to do it a bit faster, but I didn't mind playing again. Now we have control at the beginning of Act 3, it's collectible time once again, and we can start actually finishing the collectible sets and getting trophies. We finished Sebastian's questline, defeated the secret boss in Act 3, and fought the titular dragon. Something I like about this game compared to the other 2 is that companions just have 1 armor set and then you can upgrade it to level 4. It can sometimes be overwhelming in RPGs trying to juggle your inventory and make sure everyone has the best gloves and shoes and belts. It's a bit more casual, but I like this system of just pure upgrades, and from what I've played of the Veilguard, it has something similar. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because by killing this dragon we get a trophy for killing it, another for getting to level 20, and it also drops the final armor upgrade we need, and we get a trophy for fully upgrading 1 companion's armor. Act 3 is a lot shorter, and it mainly just consists of finishing off the companion questlines, including having a nice day out to the Chantry with Anders. Okay, he's gone now, I wonder what he's doing.
The war will happen. The clock is ticking down. It will be midnight soon.
Okay, buddy. We get a lore dump from Meadow that probably won't be relevant.
Fan Harrow, the Dread Wolf.
We then get 11 of the 12 collectible messages we need to find, and a trophy popped. Isn't it fun when a trophy bugs in a positive way? In this cave during Meadow's quest, we find our final crafted material for Supplier. Remember, this trophy is apparently very buggy. So just like with Traveller and Origins, I was quite nervous here that I'll need to do a whole new playthrough just to get it. Thank God, honestly thank God. On the way out we met up with an old friend.
How do you do? My name is Zevran Aranai, adventurer and occasional assassin. At your service, my friend.
Because we now have every material, we can now craft 1 of every potion for another trophy. And now we're basically at the end of the game, so it's time for some DLC. We've already finished the Exile Prince, since that's just add side quests in the main game, but Mark of the Assassin and Legacy are completely separate and can be accessed from your house. Mark of the Assassin has one of the coolest Bioware companions ever.
Kill her! Kill all of them!
Well, what are you waiting for?
She's just so cool. I instantly felt weird about her character, and looking at all the reviews on the Reddit post, everyone seems to feel the same. It's the common consensus that she feels like a self-insert, awesome character that can do no wrong. I can't imagine what 2024 Twitter would be like if this DLC came out today. We get a trophy just for starting the DLC, another for killing an alpha wyvern to get into the chateau, and once we're inside we need to do this quite bad stealth section with bad checkpoints. We then need to solve a bunch of puzzles to access this chest, and then defeat the final boss to finish the DLC. Overall, I do actually kind of like Mark of the Assassin. Oh, not again. I like the clean environments, especially compared to the main game, and after the stealth section, which is optional, I did actually enjoy exploring the chateau. The final boss is also quite cool, and my only gripe is that Talus is just kind of annoying. But I think also the thing that annoys me the most is she can't come with you into the main game. I feel like this could have let you get to know her better and like her better, and get to see her reactions to all your big decisions, but at the end of the DLC she just goes away. So personally, on a second playthrough, I don't see an incentive to do this DLC again. However, I did just find out there's a live action Talus web series, so maybe once I watch that, I'll change my mind.
Take care of yourself, Hawk. Maybe we'll meet again, sometime.
Let me guess. You haven't seen Talus since that day.
For specific reasons, we're going to save Legacy for last, and for now we're going to finish off Act 3. The mages and Templars are arguing once again, but you can tell we won't be able to solve this one peacefully, especially because Anders makes it so much worse.
You should be able to see that. The time has come to act. There can be no half measures.
Anders, what have you done?
The Mage Templar War is now in full effect, and we're asked to choose sides. Obviously I'm on the Mage's side, but you have to admit what Anders did is a bit mad.
I don't want to get involved in this.
You are already involved. It is your choice.
Oh, okay then. I love the way each of your companions chime in with their own opinions, and even more so, I love that they all just don't agree with you.
Anders, I knew I could count on you.
Hawk, if you do this, I don't know if I can follow.
And so you would defend these mages, after all they have done? Throw yourself at a hopeless cause?
You sure about this? Even you might not win this fight.
I know we can do this. I believe in you, Hawk.
Shit. What have you gotten yourself into this time, Isabella?
Think carefully, champion. Stand with them and you share their fate.
I'm not helping you, Meredith.
Thank the Maker.
No, I won't fight to save these mages. Not for you, not for anyone.
I see what you are trying to do, and my place is with you.
You are a fool, champion. Kill them all! I will rouse the rest of the Order.
Go! Get to the gallows before it's too late!
We chose to let Anders go free in the idea that he's already done something insane, but killing him won't fix it, so hopefully he can try and fix it himself. But Sebastian hates that decision.
No! You cannot let this abomination walk free. He dies, or I am returning to Starkhaven.
So much so that he actually just leaves the party and vows to come back and kill him. Honestly, this game is so cool.
I swear to you, I will come back and find your precious Anders. I will teach him what true justice is.
We then get the classic RPG bit where everyone stands in a circle at the end and we get to talk to everyone.
In a moment, I'll look down and see I have no pants on.
And by talking to Meryl, we finally get the romance trophy. I have no clue if this is a bug or not, but Anders just shows up here. What are you doing? I told you to run away so you don't get killed. What? I don't understand why he's back. What is going on?
If you want to help mages, be gone from here. They cannot win with a murderer at their head.
I wish you victory.
We fight off the Templars and then Orsino, who we've basically fully backed and defended by saying that mages are not inherently evil and they won't use blood magic. Why would you use blood magic? Come on, you're not making it easy for me. And just before we fight Meredith...
Look at them. Backed into a corner, they show their true colors. Why you're defending them, I'll never know. This is an old story that always ends the same way. You die or I die. Either way, the story's done.
I love the fact that the Fenris fights you here, and you have to actually kill him. There's so many RPGs where you just get minus approval points for going against someone's morals, but the fact that he's so against your decision, he'll actually die for it, is such a good decision. We all love a good heel turn. We catch up with Meredith, and she's gone crazy too, because she's using a red lydium sword that's poisoning her mind.
She's lost it.
We fight her and the statue she's brought to life, and as this fight goes on, more and more of her companions join our side. I love the idea of this because it just brings up the scale of the fight. It just feels so important, and for some reason, even Zevran shows up. Hawke saves the day and the Templars stand down, but the war is definitely not over. We find out that Hawke and his party go missing, and the Seeker Cassandra is looking for them with the help of Liliana, and she has this book with an eye on it. No, not yet. We don't even have the platinum yet. We get a trophy for finishing the game and another for finishing it with an imported save. And the credits have a Florence in the Machine song, which I found quite surprising, but honestly I thought it fit perfectly with the tone of the game. I don't know if other people feel the same way, but this game is quite depressing and I love it. Now we've finished the game once, we need to get the other ending. At the end of the game, no matter if you side with the mages or Templars, you get the Meredith trophy and another one for beating the game. But you can get a bonus one if you side with the Templars. So we load up our save and skip through the dialogue to quickly do the Templar side. We killed Anders just to see what happens, and honestly, I was expecting like an execution or something. Didn't think we'd just stab him in the back. No matter what side you're on, the quest is quite similar and just has some slight location changes. Orsino still uses blood magic, and because we don't want to kill Bethany, Meredith wants to fight us. We defeat her in a textureless Kirkwall and become the new Viscount of the textureless Kirkwall. Before we do the Legacy DLC, we need to jump into an alternate universe to get some more trophies for the Platinum. We just played as a warrior and 10 years ago we played as a mage, so now we need to complete the prologue as a rogue. Because we used a bow and arrow in Origins and it kind of sucked, I wanted to use it again here to see if they've carried over the improvements from Awakening. I had a lot of fun here, so I guess the answer is yes. On this playthrough, we also have to get full negative approval points with someone, so I was basically just always picking the bottom right option, since that's the mean option. And somehow we got 15 positive points for Bethany. This was basically a speed run, so I was skipping through dialogue and only doing the quests that I needed to do, and we very quickly got to Kirkwall. We made sure to get Anders early, because in this playthrough we also have to be on the Templar's side 5 times, and he definitely wouldn't like that. And I was right, because just over an hour later, we did one of the Templar quests and we annoyed both Bethany and Anders. And now all we have to do for the Platinum was to do the 4 Templar quests that are available in the first 2 acts, and then get to the start of Act 3 to make her 5th decision. We explored the Deep Roads where Bethany died. The game crashed in the exact same place as last time. We defeated the Adashock and sided with the Templars for the 5th time to get our 2nd Dragon Age Platinum.
In your code, I will not submit to this.
And now we'll finish off the game with the Legacy DLC. I already played this back in the day, so we just need to get 2 trophies here. One for playing it with Bethany, which means you either need to do it very early before she leaves, or at the end of the game when she comes back. And another for doing all of the side quests. Personally, I enjoyed Legacy, but I do think it's a bit too long for what it is. Basically, I like the lore and the story of it, but the gameplay just feels like it's there because it's a video game and they want to make it longer. The side quests are super short and they're basically just puzzles and collectibles, so we got them done easy. And the actual story is all about this ancient darkspawn named Carypheus. We use our blood to wake him up and easily defeat him.
Be this some dream I wake from? Am I in dwarven lands? Why seem their roads so empty?
There's no way he can come back from that.
The Grey Wardens were there.
And that's the DLC and Dragon Age 2 as a whole finished. And now we have what you might expect to be the longest part of this video, because it is. Inquisition is the longest game by far, clocking in at 45 hours compared to 30 for the first 2, and it's also the most involved because it's a big open world game. But the trophies we have to get are quite simple. We just have to play the game on the hardest difficulty, Nightmare, and basically just grab a bunch of collectibles. And then we can play all the DLCs for the first time, and the trophies there are quite simple, except for the trials which add modifiers to the game, but we don't have to worry about them until the end. First off, we filled out our keep to carry our world state over, and created the most generic Inquisitor ever, a female elf mage. These are the trials we have to complete later on, but we'll leave them off for now and start on Nightmare.
How much is this going to cost me exactly?
I tried to make the makeup match the tattoos, but sadly, in the game, she just looks completely busted. After playing 60 hours of this series on casual, it was finally time to up the stakes. Well, I mean, I guess it is the tutorial, so it won't be that hard. So I don't think Nightmare affects the enemy's AI or attack patterns too much, but it basically just makes enemies have a lot of health and do a lot of damage. There's no dodge button, so if an enemy gets locked onto us, there's nothing we can do except walk away. Oh god, we're not off to a great start. Now, a quick combat explanation. If we hold R2, we'll shoot bolts at the enemy, and if we get a combo going, we can put our staff into the ground and shoot multiple bolts. And then this attack pattern loops. As we attack, we build up mana, which can then be spent to use skills which have a cooldown. At the moment, we have the shock attack that does AoE damage, and we have a fireball. We complete this early fight to fill up our party with Varric and Solus.
Varric Tethras, rogue, storyteller, and occasionally unwelcome tag-along.
My name is Solus, if there are to be introductions. I am pleased to see you still live.
He means I kept that mark from killing you while you slept.
And with Cassandra the warrior, we now have a balanced party of 2 mages, a warrior and a rogue. The only other important thing to mention for now is that if we take damage, we can push L1 and use a potion to heal. But we can only hold 8 potions, and that's for the whole party. Potions will be replenished as we reach checkpoints, and later on we can get an upgrade to hold more. Potions are super important because at this point in the game, we will be taking damage. And once you can't heal anymore, you can't heal anymore. We level up for the first time and get the energy barrage ability, and this lets us shoot a bunch of bolts out from our body. This early part of the game was quite easy. You die fast, but as long as we stay back like we're meant to, we'll do okay. And after this fight outside, we'll be able to close our first Fade Rift. These are absolutely everywhere, and we need to close 75 of them. I can't find an exact number online, but apparently there's around 80 total, so we need to close almost all of them.
Sealed, as before. You are becoming quite proficient at this.
At the end of the prologue, we get our first boss fight, and if you're familiar with Nightmare difficulty, you'll know after a certain point it isn't actually that hard. So this is basically one of the few hard fights of the whole game. Because we're early in the game and don't have many skills, there's not really any tactics we can deploy here, so we just stay back while Cassandra tries to tank it. But then it starts to spawn enemies who mess everything up, and then Cassandra dies. Using the tactics view, we get Solus to revive her, while we die. You'll notice that on Nightmare, your characters revive with 1 HP, and we only have no potions left. We kept trading lives until it was only Varric left, and no one would stay up. It went almost the same on the second go, but we managed to keep our characters alive for longer, which made a huge difference. And we just defeated them. We woke up in Haven and formed the Inquisition. This game works quite similar to Origins. There's a big bad, and we need to go around and convince people to help us defeat him. And Act 1 is all about closing this breach above Haven. But our first order of business is getting all of this makeup off. And then we head to the Hinterlands, where Lace Harden gives us an update on what's going on here. We get a look at the open world map, and this game is famously very MMO-like. The side quests aren't that good, and the majority of them are just collecting or delivering things. And the Hinterlands is a worst offender. You need a lot of power to progress in the main quest, and you get power from these side quests. Because we're on Nightmare, I want to level up as much as possible, which means I will be doing a lot of these menial side quests. So I'd like to apologise here, because I won't be able to show you all the awesome side quests where we collect a bunch of materials, go get a potion from somebody, find a hidden chest. Yeah, I mean, they're all like this. However, we do have an important job here. In each of the game's areas, we can find ocularums, and you can find shards by using them. For one of the trophies, we need to find 114 shards. At launch, this was every single shard in the game, but they added 12 more in a DLC. So with the help of that DLC, we need to find almost every single one. The shards aren't hard to find, but there's just a lot of them. If you're wondering how combat is going, it's still tough because you die quick, but while we still have potions to use, it's very doable. And because we're in the open world, once you run out of potions, you can just fast travel back to the camp and get them all back, and then continue to explore the world piece by piece, until the game autosaves as you're about to die, and the only option is just to run away until your dead friends teleport towards you. We continue to explore the hinterlands, completing more amazing side quests such as go somewhere, and kill some wolves. Finding this farmer's animal is probably the best one though. After trying to sky them up a cliff and collect some more shards, we find another collectible set. We need to complete 15 of these line puzzles for another trophy, and you guessed it, at launch there were 15, but the DLC added 3 more. Every guide I looked at said these count, so like the other collectibles, we need almost all of them, but in my experience the DLC ones did not count. I had a lot of fun with these because they seem hard, but they're actually quite easy, so you feel smart, and once you find one of these, the other 2 in the area will appear on your map. You only need to do a handful of side quests to unlock the next story beat, where we head to Val d'Oyo to meet the Chantry, but we get interrupted by the Templars. We start a new companion quest,
What's that? An arrow with a message?
another new companion quest, and we can now head to these 2 places to unlock them. But as soon as we leave, we get stopped by the mages who ask us to come to Redcliffe. Before we do that, we recruit Sarah, who is disliked for obvious reasons.
And you're an elf. Well, hope you're not too elfy. Ooh, crush you.
But apparently she has the highest DPS of any companion in the game, so we add her to the squad. I can fix her. We also unlock Vivian, but we won't use her.
Sarah was never quite the wealthiest girl. Some say she lives in a tavern, but she was so sharp and quick with a bow. Arrows strike like a dragon. Sarah was never quite the gentlest girl.
We find Blackwall, who will end up being a crucial member of the team.
Warden Blackwall, the Inquisition accepts your offer.
This warden walks with the Inquisition.
And Blackwall, Solus and Sarah is the team we run with for the rest of the game. The Hinterlands quest list kept growing bigger and bigger, so we kept doing them. For all my talk about side quests so far, I actually did quite like this one. It's simple and short, but it tells a story. So yeah, I do like the quest, Strange Bedfellows.
Hold on a minute. Did you just say Strange Bedfellows?
We interrupt our Hinterlandsen for a visit to the Storm Coast, with a whole load of quests to do and shards to find. And we get our first sight of one of the 10 dragons we have to kill. First things first, we get Iron Bull on our side. I didn't talk to him much on this playthrough, and I can't believe how ugly his trousers are. Our next nightmare roadblock was this Fade Rift on the way to Redcliffe. It actually is skippable, which I didn't know at the time, but I spent ages here. The biggest issue are these lesser tethers, who basically just teleport into you and are nearly impossible to dodge. Apparently the enemies that spawn change when you die, so we just need to get a lucky roll and hopefully spawn easy enemies. Since we already have about 70 hours in this game across previous playthroughs, we get a trophy here for killing 1,000 demons across the whole game. And after dying again and again, we decided to grind some more and come back later. It was here that I remembered how important crafting is in this game, so we made a new staff for myself, a new staff for Solus, a bow for Sarah, and a shield for Blackwall. But because I was using bad schematics, it was only a tiny damage upgrade across the board. So we came to the Black Emporium where you can get very powerful DLC schematics, but they're as expensive as they are powerful. We bought some of the cheap ones and made some weapons to help us out. We came back to the Rift and either we got very lucky or the weapons actually helped. We made it to Redcliffe and met Dorian.
Good, you're finally here. Now help me close this, would you?
I love Dorian and I romanced him the first time around, and technically we could replace Solus with him, but we don't for the lore. The next story quest we can do is either the Mages or the Templars quest, and we of course chose the Mages. This is one of the most interesting quests in the whole game, so I actually want to replay it just to see what the Templar one is like. Dorian is mandatory in this quest, so we kick Sarah out. Her job in the party is purely just to do damage quickly, whereas Blackwall keeps enemies away and Solus keeps us alive. So we enter the castle with 3 mages and a warrior. We spec Dorian out the exact same way as Solus, so we'll hopefully always have a barrier up. This quest is the next big nightmare roadblock, especially at the start when it's just the 2 of us. The quest isn't actually hard, but it's long and you've got a finite amount of potions, which means if you run out and keep dying, the only option is to reload your save from before the mission started and prepare better. It constantly felt like I was on a knife's edge. You can get some potions back at the supply caches, but you can only use them once each. One of the trials we need to do for the DLC trophies is to complete this full quest without the ability to get potions back, so I didn't fancy doing that on Nightmare difficulty. I think that small weapon upgrade made a huge difference here, but I was barely scraping by. We died a lot in the final boss and had to keep switching characters to revive each other, but for the most part, fighting a single target wasn't too bad even on Nightmare. We welcomed Dodie into the party and flirted with him a bit.
If that means they're anything like you, I approve.
Ha! There aren't many mages back home like me.
She doesn't know. We upgraded to hold 12 potions at the one time, which is essential. And before starting the end of Act 1 and what people call the final boss of Nightmare, we cleared out the war table. This game has a real-time component where while you're playing the game, you can send your people out on missions. These start out taking 10 minutes, then an hour, and eventually build up to taking a full day of real time. But once we have them set up, we can magically time travel to the future. I think this is a cool mechanic if you're playing the game casually, but if you're speedrunning it on Nightmare, you just want it over with. Well, look at Sebastian. Okay, let's do it. Let's finish Act 1 and close the breach. That was super easy. I don't know what anyone's talking about with this being hard.
Forces approaching! To arms!
After meeting Cole in his hat, we first need to defend this point. These enemies are high level, but the same tactics apply. Just stay back and you'll be fine. We defended, so now we need to attack. This is tougher because we're already out of potions. Blackwall dies again, I die, Solus dies, Blackwall dies again, and I die again. Sera's stealth is useful for getting people up, but they die as soon as they're up, and you just get stuck in a loop. This quest is the same as the last one, where the enemies aren't actually that hard, but it's long and you only have so many potions, so once you start dying, you're dead. I reloaded my save from before the quest started, and I made some slight crafted upgrades and went back in. We did the first section a bit better, which means for the second part we had more potions to play with, but I was still dying so quickly. So I reloaded again, ended up looking online to find where the best schematics were at this point, and in my research I found out this game actually has a form of New Game Plus. So I loaded my save from 2014 and used the Golden Nug, which shares your schematics across all your characters. However, because I was playing as a two-handed warrior, we didn't actually have anything I could use. So I went back to the old save who has endgame money, and I bought some of the expensive schematics and gave them to the Nug. We didn't go full overpowered yet, but I crafted a new bow and a new staff, which helped a lot. It helped so much that we managed to complete the first section using only one potion, and we quickly made it to the final part of this quest. All we have to do is turn this wheel so that this bar fills up. But as we turn it, enemies will continue to spawn. We take our time and take out the enemies one by one until it very quickly starts to go badly. Even with our slightly OP weapons, this is still very tough. It went the same way the second time around, and we haven't managed to do any damage to the boss. The only thing I changed on my third go was telling all my teammates to focus on the small enemies first, so we could take them out and focus on the big guy. And once we did this, he took a lot of damage quickly. We could turn the wheel, meet Cadiphius.
Beg that I succeed, for I have seen the throne of the gods, and it was empty.
Wait, I thought we killed that guy. We had a little sing-song and found Skyhold. After getting here, I generally spent almost an hour just talking to everyone. Seeing Hawk look so ugly in this Inquisition art style made me realise how much I love the art style in the second game. There's obviously much more of the game to talk about, but Nightmare mode is about to get very easy, so in interest of time, let's catch up to the end of the game. After finishing this war table quest, we can unlock specialisations. If you've played the game before, I think you know what specialisation I'm going to choose. We are a Knight Enchanter, which is basically a melee mage. Choosing a specialisation unlocks a new skill tree, so to make use of this as early as possible, we buy this amulet to respec our points, and we go all in into it. I followed a build guide from a relatively new YouTuber called Redgale, who I'll link below, and that sorted me out for the rest of the game. In Skyhold, you can also do a duplication glitch to get money, which meant we could now buy a bunch of materials to craft some great gear. We made ourselves the Blade of Tidarion, which is basically a lightsaber, and it works great for the Knight Enchanter. We're now basically unkillable and do a ton of damage. But for YouTube, a negative with this build is it's not very cinematic, since you're always right next to the enemy and the camera does not like that. Unlocking your specialisation also unlocks everyone else's, which means we can also make Blackwall unkillable. Continuing the story, we head to Crestwood to meet a Grey Warden. Depending on your world state, this could be Alistair, but for us it's just Guy from Dragon Age 2. I do still think the callback is cool though. We continue the questline until we need to decide which one of them should stay behind to save us, and most likely sacrifice himself. Obviously, if this was Hawk versus Alistair, it would be a tougher decision, but it should be easier here. Except for the fact that my hero Ferelden sacrificed himself to save the world, and I want Hawk to do that too. I was expecting this to be an epic moment where he said something cool and maybe talked about Meryl, but...
Hawk. Say goodbye to Varric for me. Spider. Always the maker
RIP, I guess. I just want to point out, I love the detail of your companion's icons changing during the course of the game. We attended a party and snuck about, a la Mark of the Assassin, until we ran into another old friend.
Well, well, what have we here? The leader of the new Inquisition, fabled herald of the faith. Delivered from the grasp of the Fade by the hand of blessed Andraste herself.
And believe it or not, we're already at the end of the game, except we need to get 30 more power to unlock this next quest, so it was side quest time once again. We had our second Grey Warden breakup of the video.
You want. I could never be what you deserve.
I'm not letting you go.
We'll regret this, my lady.
We convinced him to stay, but he left anyway. It turns out he's not even a Grey Warden.
No, I am not Blackwall. I never was Blackwall.
But a lovely Miz, so honestly, this just made me like him even more. I can fix him. I haven't talked about performance yet. Jumping to the PS4 generation, playing on a PS5, this game runs absolutely perfectly. These games are all the same, aren't they? After about 2.5 hours of side quests, we could actually finish the game. We head to this elven ruin to stop Carithius from accessing an Illuvian mirror, which will basically allow him to teleport about and win easily. And while we're here, we learn more about Fen'Harel.
My clan set statues of the Dread Wolf outside our camp. They're meant to frighten harmful spirits.
Perhaps. I thought the ancient elves above quaint superstitions.
For all your knowledge, Lady Morrigan, you cannot resist giving legend the weight of history.
We let Morrigan drink from the Well of Sorrows, which seems very important in the moment, but won't be relevant in Veilguard, so obviously isn't important. But it does let us escape from Carithius and come back to Skyhold. Flemeth shows up again, and long story short, Flemeth is essentially an ancient god. That's the gist of it. This is not a lore channel.
One day someone will summarize the terrible events of your life so quickly.
Anyway, she agrees to help us out, and as we try to find Carithius, he shows up on our doorstep. And it is final boss fight time. Carithius goes down like any old enemy with this build, until we get him to half health and we fight his dragon instead. For some reason I had such a hard time with this boss. I had super low HP because of an item I was using, so I died in one hit, and Solus died often too. We kept using Sera's stealth to get us up, and then we would just die instantly. We were constantly so close to dying, and I thought I was going to have to reload my save and come back later. So when I did die, I decided to let the Inquisitor do their thing, and I just played as Sera. She's got this leap and shot backflip move that's so fun to use, and this video ended up coming full circle with me using a bow and arrow again. It wasn't easy, but with Blackwall keeping us alive, we spent 6 minutes maining Sera and took it down. But in the cutscene, the Inquisitor took all the glory. and then we were back fighting Caduceus.
Not like this.
Nightmare mode was actually quite easy. The story is done, but we still have a lot to do.
I am sorry as well, old friend.
First, we make the difficulty casual now, and put on the dials Grizzly End and Walk Softly. These upgrade enemy bears and randomly buff some enemies, and to get the trophies we need to kill 20 upgraded enemies and 10 upgraded bears. And now we basically just have to 100% each area of the game, closing the rifts and finding collectibles. And now we're on casual, we can do some of the harder to dial trophies. By turning on even ground, enemies scale to our level, and we need to defeat this dragon at level 16 or higher. And of course we need to kill 10 of these guys for the platinum. So we just went area by area, doing everything we could, and this was the perfect podcast game.
Crestwood should give us a medal for this.
Next we put on Rest Easy and entered Empathy de Leon. This modifier makes your focus reset at camps. Focus is used to basically do ultimate moves, and we need to complete the first part of this area with that modifier on. This honestly doesn't change much, and we probably could have done it on Nightmare if we wanted to. By continuing to explore here, we had now killed 20 of those upgraded enemies. We then took a break from all this collectible hunting because we need a very important piece of armour. First we have to jump on this stone for about 4 minutes.
Not time to come out. No, not yet. Need more. Have to be ready.
Go to the hinterlands to collect 10 flowers, give them to the cave, walk through a wall, and walk down a long staircase, until we get the most powerful armour in the whole game.
This is it. This is it. Take it. Use it. I'm going, laughing all the way.
The flower crown. We have a huge issue though. You can only get one of these per playthrough, unless we use the duplication glitch. We are ready for anything now, especially killing this dragon and killing this one while our potions only heal 1 HP. Next, we tackled our first of the 3 DLCs, Jaws of Hakon. This one essentially just adds a new open world area with new rifts and shards, and of course a main quest to go along with it. I basically did it all at once, advancing the main quest while collecting all the collectibles, and doing side quests along the way to get approval with the camp for a trophy. Now, I mentioned before, there are 15 of these line puzzles in the base game, and we need to do all 15 for the trophy. But they added 3 more with this DLC, but in every guide I looked at said it didn't matter where you get them, you just need 15. And this was my 15th one. I started to worry thinking I would need to do a whole new game just to get this trophy, and I thought maybe you had to open the chest that they unlock, which I haven't done. But instead, I decided to quickly exit the DLC and get the ones I'd missed in the base game. Thank God, honestly. And we still had to get the shards here anyway, so it's not like we wasted time by doing this. We came back to the DLC to finish it off. While in this temple at the end, we have to find all these braziers and smash all these winter shards. At the start, I wasn't a huge fan of the story in this DLC, but I did like this section at the end and I think it paid off quite well. The last Inquisitor leaves behind a dragon we have to fight, and we get a trophy for finishing the DLC. But we were also meant to get the brazier trophy during this fight. We can't go back, so I reloaded a save and followed a guide to find the last one. To finish off this DLC, we killed the dragon for a trophy, and even though the quest doesn't update, this counts towards the 10 we have to kill in total. I don't know if they always planned on having Harden be a Veilguard companion, but this scene is quite cool in hindsight.
Good view with a floating mountain in my way. I must say, it's fun to see it up close.
Perhaps this calls for a new title. Dragon Slayer Harding, perhaps.
Oh, a fancy title goes against the point of being a scout. Nobody should see me coming.
Finally, with the DLC and its side quest complete, we can head back to the leader for the last trophy.
From today, you are known.
We could have continued with collectibles now, but instead we played The Descent. This one is a lot more linear and similar to the other DLCs. It all takes place in the Deep Roads and honestly I'm not a fan of it. It reminds me of Legacy, with it super lore heavy but quite boring to play. We get our first trophy almost instantly for killing this Ogre Alpha. We get another for completing the DLC's version of a war table mission. And this isn't needed for the 100%, but we did some classic Bioware Tower of Hanoi.
Mind would hide secrets behind such madness.
And the final two trophies here are completely unmissable.
We have to stop this!
The final DLC, Trespasser, has no postgame, which means it is now the final collectible cleanup time until we get the platinum. I can't find the footage of me actually doing it, but just so everyone is aware, we're now all wearing plaid weave with our flower crowns. Finally, after 10 years, I finally have every Dragon Age Platinum, just as a new one comes out. But before we can play the Veilguard, we need to get that 100% and play Trespasser. First, we had to farm bear kills for genuinely a whole hour. And then we started a new game. I'll skip through all this for now because it's quite boring, but we need to play with a modifier that makes companions gain more negative approval, and another one that slows down our leveling. And then we have to get to Skyhold a level 5 or below. This is hard because you have to do side quests in order to unlock the main quest, but you can't do too many or you level up too much. Along the way, we also have to finish the mage quest without the ability to get our potions back. I'm obviously on casual, so this is easy. But on Nightmare, I think this would be impossible. And along the way, I got to try out a bow and arrow build, and it's honestly a lot of fun. I'm not joking here, being under-leveled made this Haven boss fight actually harder on casual than it was on Nightmare. But after 20 minutes, I did eventually find a way to cheese it and get it done. And the last thing we have to do is complete this quest with every companion in the party. So the issue here is your companions will leave if you annoy them enough, and with that modifier, the negative approval is increased. There's 9 companions and at the moment we have 4, but the 3 you start with cannot leave, so we just have to keep Dorian happy. And the best way to do this is either not use them, or if we do use them, just pick mage options. So with all that said, it means we can basically ignore the actual trophy here, and all we have to do in this playthrough is get enough power to unlock that quest, and just before we do that quest, we quickly go around and unlock everyone. Now we can go back to our main save and finish the game. I'd been wanting to play Trespasser for years and it didn't disappoint. It's set 2 years after the main game, so it starts off with a lot of fan service, where you're just kind of catching up with everyone and learning what they've been up to.
The Prince of Starkhaven wrote to you again.
Of course he did. Just put that one in the pile.
We spend our time talking to everyone and give Ironbull a birthday present, so hopefully it won't be today's anytime soon.
Oh, you guys. You got me.
The start of the DLC is all about if the Inquisition should still exist now that they're not needed, and because they have so much influence, they could be dangerous. But it doesn't matter for now, because the proceedings are interrupted by a headache and a dead canary.
These were the well-intentioned mistakes of a young organized...
A Canary warrior in full armor.
While investigating, we find an Illuvian and gather a party to go through it. I like the touch that Blackwall has his actual name now. This DLC is similar to The Descent in that it's very linear and lore heavy, but the environments here make the gameplay a lot more fun in my opinion. We're just going through a bunch of connected Illuvians throughout this whole DLC, solving a bunch of puzzles and killing a bunch of Canary. And across the whole series we only have 3 trophies left. One is just for completing the DLC, and the other 2 are for finding collectibles, like solving these statue puzzles, and completing an item set by going off the beaten path and finding hidden Illuvians. In the Deep Roads we find the Canary making bombs, so we blow them all up, but some of the explosives have already made it through the Illuvian. Continuing on our investigation to work out what's happening, we find the final item of the set. We find out the Canary are essentially trying to blow up the world, and somehow agents of the elven god Fen'Harel have compromised the Inquisition. And to make matters worse, the anchor on the Inquisitor's hand is killing them.
Nightingale told us what happened with your hand.
Don't tell me I'm going to lose you.
We all knew this was probably our last time out together. Let's make it a good one.
All right, Bianca. Let's show all the tall people how it's done. One last time.
We finished our final Veilfire puzzle, and now all we need to do is finish the game. Now, I was kind of annoyed at myself for playing this for the first time without doing every companion quest, because I felt like I was missing out on additional dialogue and it just would be better, but this moment made it all worth it.
Dragon's breath is... an actual dragon?
Tethar! Vaz!
Inquisition! Nira Tasia Sara! Niraba Sadim Kada! Hisrad, we need you! Videk Katas!
Good call leaving me behind. The Vidasala asked me to lend a hand. Nothing personal. Boss.
So it turns out if Ironbull isn't fully on your side, the Canary asks him to help them and he just does it. I genuinely think this moment is so cool. After Wynn, Fenris and now Ironbull, I hope one of the Veilguard companions tries to kill me at some point. I do think this moment is kind of weird and dissonant because the Inquisitor gets told Solus is a Fen'Harel agent and it seems like a plot twist.
Solus is an agent of Fen'Harel.
But as the player, we already know that he is Fen'Harel from the post-credit scene. After defeating the final enemy of the Dragon Age Inquisition, we confront Solus. The conversation we have is so cool and honestly it feels like one of the most important things ever.
Ebesit kata, etwa ost. I suspect you have questions.
You just get to find out so much in such a short amount of time.
The Kunari believe you're an agent for someone who has taken the name Fen'Harel.
The false gods called me Fen'Harel, and when they finally went too far, I formed the Veil and banished them forever. Thus I freed the Elven people, and in so doing, destroyed their world. It was me. The Veil took everything from the elves, even themselves.
And honestly, the score in the background is incredible.
You led us to Skyhold.
Corypheus should have died unlocking my orb. When he survived, my plans were thrown into chaos. When you survived, I saw the Inquisition as the best hope this world had of stopping him. And you needed a home. Hence, Skyhold.
He explains the plans that will be explored in the Veilguard, and we can choose to either stop him by killing him or to dying to change his mind.
You don't need to destroy this world. I'll prove it to you.
I would treasure the chance to be wrong once again, my friend. Take my hand. I'm sorry.
Solus leaves, and we need to decide what to do with the Inquisition. Personally, I thought the Inquisition had gotten so large and it had spies in it, so I shut it down. To save Solus, we don't need a whole army, just a small group.
You all know what this is? It was about people doing what was necessary. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a world to save. Again. Effective immediately, the Inquisition is disbanded.
Will it matter?
As the game ends, we get a quick blurb about what everyone does after, and honestly I was so sad seeing Vadik as Viscount of Kirkwall without Hawk by his side, but I do love the Blackwall ending. We got our final trophy, and I look ahead to the future.
Solus knows everything about us. Who we are, how we work, our strengths and weaknesses.
Then we find people he doesn't know. We will save our friend from himself. If we can.
Honestly, what a series. It's been so fun going back and playing these. Obviously I do have issues with them, but they're easy to ignore when you can feel the heart that goes into making the games. I have no clue how long this video is going to end up being, but I know it will be long, so if you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. This has taken a lot of time to edit, like a lot of time. My final playtime in the series so far is around 105 hours, and if I had more time before the Veilguard, it would have been a lot longer. I think I am going to split these games out into their own videos, with a bit more detail that I couldn't include in this one. So if there's a specific quest or character that I've not covered, let me know and I'll try to fit it in the standalone videos. But the Veilguard is out now, so I need to get a move on and see if they stick the landing after a 10-year wait. Again, thank you so much for watching all the way through. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.
It can't end like this.